Welcome to IAS Market Talk, your trusted source for timely ag market insights, brought to you by Innovative Ag Services. Each week, we break down the latest beef market trends impacting Northeast Iowa and Southwest Wisconsin, with expert updates tailored specifically for our IAS members. This week, you'll hear directly from Dave Rueber, IAS Beef Production Specialist, who brings decades of experience and deep knowledge of the cattle industry to these conversations. Dave has been providing market updates to producers for years, and now he's bringing those insights straight to you through this podcast. Tune in weekly for what you need to know straight from people you know. With that, here's Dave Rueber with the latest on what's happening in the cattle markets this week.
David Rueber, Beef Production Specialist for Innovative Ag Services, calling with a beef market commentary for March 25th. Well, the big news today is we had choice boxes after rallying 20 some bucks in the last 3 weeks. They took $8 off of choice boxes today, which this time of year, you can see a little bit of a softening of demand sometimes right before that Easter holiday. But that was a little harder break than what people were thinking. And if you look at what the futures market was doing today, live cattle futures were up all morning, and then the news of boxes plummeting like that, then we ended up being down 80 cents to $1 on futures. So kind of took a little bit of the edge off of this deal. Markets that rally pretty hard, like choice boxes had done. Not surprising to see a break back. That was a little bit harder of a break back than what we expected. So keep an eye on that thing. Hopefully we're not seeing a softening of demand. So something to watch there. Last week we sold cattle in that 235 to 238 range. I would have called it $1 or $2 stronger last week. Plus we regained leverage. We were kind of the highest priced cattle in the country, at that 237 to 238. So that's kind of a good sign. We have been running below Texas and Kansas the last few weeks. So that was a good sign to see as well. Feeling like this week, kind of a steady kind of week. I expect it to be somewhere in that 235, 236 range. Maybe call it a touch softer. Nothing's really traded yet. Just kind of maybe some lingering aspects of this box beef market falling off here. So just watch that deal. Somewhere in the mid 230s looks like where we're going to be at. Feeder cattle continue to zoom right along. Good 8-weight steer is going to cost you in the 360-ish range. They're just tightening the supplies, not as big a runs coming up on these auction sale days. That you got the grass deal kicking in. It just, feeder cattle don't feel like a big drop is coming. There's just not enough of them out there. So something to keep an eye on there. Cost of gains kind of keep creeping a little bit higher. Corn market's been kind of trending up a little bit. Something to watch, all this hay that's been going out to Nebraska and Oklahoma and Kansas for all the pasture that burned up out there. Maybe a chance that hay market puts a little bit of life into it too. I mean, I don't see it going up $50 a ton or anything, but hay could have a little bit of something to watch as far as an up deal going there too. So cost of gains, dollar, maybe a little bit above $1 for steers, $1.06 for heifers, give or take a little bit, kind of what we're seeing there. Closing out some pens, losing some money. Not all of them, but some of them. Kind of depends on when they were bought, how long they were fed, and how big they were made. Very tempting to put that extra 100 pounds onto these cattle, especially if, they're showing a loss. So there's some things to kind of think about there. You got to factor in, feet and leg health on these big cattle. You also got to factor in what their intakes are doing. There's a lot to look at there, making that decision. And not all cattle can have an extra 100 pounds put on them. So you got to make that decision sitting down with your nutritionist and yourself and looking at what's going on there. And that can help you decide what way to go there. But yeah, we've probably seen our best profits for the year the last couple, 2-3 months. We'll go into a little bit of a tougher time frame here. These cattle getting bought right now, either side at 240 for break even. So no, they are not hedgeable. So that kind of factors into some of these things as well. And don't look for feeders to help you out, getting that break even down. Once again, my name is David Rueber, Beef Production Specialist for Innovative Ag.
That's it for this week's episode of IAS Market Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an update. And if you know a fellow producer who could benefit from this information, share this episode with them. For more updates and insights, visit innovativeag.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We'll catch you next time on IAS Market Talk.
Are you ready for a hands-on role with purpose? Join the facility operations team at Innovative Ag Services, where we value hard work, safety, and community. With locations across Northeast and Central Iowa and Southwest Wisconsin, we offer industry-leading benefits, on-the-job training, and a culture that supports your growth. From competitive pay to a uniform allowance, we invest in our team. Grow with IAS and discover your co-opportunity. Apply today at innovativeag.com.